من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. صل على محمد. أما بعد فأوصيكم بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. صلوات. صل على محمد وآل Muhammad. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. It's almost 2 months that we are speaking about the life and the contributions and teachings of Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamullah Alayha. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And we have tried to look at her inspiring life and remarkable contributions to Islam and Muslim Ummah. And we try to look into some details, something between the lines, and also something that which is applicable in our lives. Today I'm concluding this series, and inshallah from next week we will get into the discussions, very important discussions about the Rajab, a month of spirituality. A new season is going to begin, which is the spring of Islam, Rajab, Sha'ban and Ramadan. And those 3 months are very, very important, my brothers and sisters, to revive our spirit and to understand the importance of ibadat and the variety of ibadat, variety of worships. And again, how to uplift ourselves, how to uplift our soul and spirit. And that discussion, inshallah, we will begin by Rajab, and we will continue it, inshallah, all the way until the month of Ramadan. So that is a series which will continue for about 3 months. Today, as a conclusion, I would like to discuss 2 important matters which are very important when we discuss in families. And these are practical things when we talk about the life of Hazrat Zahra Salamullah Alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And when we discuss her age, and when we discuss when she got married and when she became mother, and then when she was martyred and all that, when we talk about that and some other marriages, like some of the marriages of, I think one marriage of Prophet, and then we always hear the early marriage in Islam So always this question comes to ask that what should we do in our time when it comes to marrying our young women or our girls or our daughters. So what is the proper time or what is the proper age to look into or to get them married? And then when we talk about girls, so right away the question is about boys also, because Allah has blessed us with daughters and with sons, and it is a practical question that when a Muslim family or a Muslim individual should start looking seriously in getting married. So that is one question. And the other question, if we can deal with, that is about the education, and particularly the education of our girls, our daughters. Is there any advice? Is there any thing which we can find in our resources, and then we can say that this is the Islamic advice on this issue, that what should we do about educating them? So these are the two practical questions, and in different forums, ulama, the visionary leaders, the scholars have tried to deal with it, and they try to discuss it. The gist of that, which I can present here in Khutbah Jumma, of course, this is not a seminar, this is not a conference, and this is not again a majlis where I can get into too many details. But when it comes to education, first of all, as you know that Islam emphasizes heavily on education, and when it comes to education, Islam doesn't make difference between male and female. Talabul ilm faridatun ala kulli Muslim. The authentic hadith is only this much, but all ulama are in agreement that this word Muslim covers Muslima. Muslima is applied here. So there was no need to say Muslim wa Muslima. Later on, some scholars, they felt that people may think that this is only for male, so they added the word wa Muslima. While if you look at Quran, most of the time when Quran is speaking and asking us, for example, keep up your prayer, if you look at the words, these are all jam'i muzakkar mukhatab. Aqimus salat, aqimus salat, aqimus salat. So if you grammatically, if you look at the word, means you all men should keep up with prayers. So that is the literal meaning of that. So it means then that the prayer is only wajib on men and it is not wajib on women. Women are excluded? No, they are part of it. So according to the language, according to the spoken language and the style of language, this was sufficient. This was enough to say aqimu instead of saying aqimu wa aqimna, meaning using that literal word for them. Similarly, wa atuz zakat, give zakat. Literally, if you look at the word, it means you all men should give zakat. What about women? They are included in that. So even if you look at this is a new style now, when people are too sensitive about he and she, and they have to make sure that every time they have to, when they say he, they have to say she, and sometimes some of them are now going, as you see, that they will say she first and he after that to prove that they are very sensitive on this issue, or sometimes they will keep saying she. So this he and she, and is a, because of this debate in our time, in our age, when there is a lot of, there is a fight between genders and fight between different segments of society, and they are trying to fight for their rights and their identity and all that kind of. So then this discussion has become a little bit more sensitive, and many times people feel that when you use the word he, then you should also sometimes use the word she also. But in Quran, in the time when Quran was being revealed, this was the mode of language. This was the way how people were speaking. And it was not only that 1400 years ago, only 50 years ago, if you look at the language, even today, man is always the word which they are using. Very little they will use the word woman to oh man. Always, oh man. So do they say the oh woman? Always they will say oh man. Always, many times this word is in it covers the mankind. Again, later on, as you know, that the mankind became the humankind, and it became to avoid that. But when they were saying mankind, they didn't mean only male, they meant the whole humankind. But the point is, talabul ilm faridatun ala kulli Muslim means that acquiring the knowledge, getting education is an obligation upon every Muslim, male, female, everybody. So it was, everybody was learning, everybody was seeking the knowledge. We spoke about the example of this lady of light, Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamullah Alayha. She was used to write. In the time when very few Muslims were able to read and write, but she was used to write. She had a book by the name of Mushaf Fatima. So, and she was used to read and she was used to write. And she was a teacher also, that who was holding classes or who was answering questions to the ladies. So this is one of our examples, and there were many. The only difference which we can see in old times and our times is that in old times, women would mostly get their education at home, while at that time many of men would also get education at home. Meaning, I can still point out people in, like, let's say 50 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, very known scholars, very known celebrities who get all their education at home. Tutors were hired and they would come and teach them at home. They wouldn't go outside and learn from outside. And so this was for male and female both to some extent at some point, but then later on, men would go out and learn at masjid or at madrasa and from teachers from their residences, but women would learn at home from their fathers, from their brothers, from their mothers, from their grandparents, from uncles, from aunts. Later on, they would continue with their husbands and like that. So they would learn, they would get their education indirectly from their relatives, from their parents or family members at home. We see that it happened for a period of time in our history. And again, it didn't happen only with Muslims, it may have happened with others also, because this was part of the culture of that time. We also see that a time came when men started focusing not only learning the basics, but then they would get into some professional fields, to higher levels of education. Let's say engineering, for example, or certain other sciences, medicine. And men would get into these things, while at certain period of time in history we see women would not get into those areas at that advanced level. They would learn whatever was sufficient for them to know whatever, who they are, what they are supposed to do, ethics, language, poetry, arts, and then some skills. Then they would get married, they would have families, so they would be involved with that area, and they wouldn't go out for the higher education. There was a time, and it was emphasized at certain time, particularly when the environments were not that good outside. So the conservative families, the religious families wouldn't send their girls away from their village to cities to live alone independently in those college hostels or on college campuses to get their higher education. They would prefer them to study to some level at home in the vicinity, and then stay home. Then they would get them married, they would start their family life. While a very little number of people would send their girls or their daughters away to the colleges and universities and to other cities to continue their education and higher education and get the professional education and become professional. But now, at our time, while we look back, we have all those models. We have all those examples in front of us, and we know our day and our age and our time. No one among scholars, I don't know at least any Ayatollah or any reasonable or any authority that who says that you should stop girls or women from going to school or college or university or for professional education or higher education at this time, in our time. Matter of fact, they emphasize that it should be provided to every male and female, this education. Reason, because at this time and age, the world has changed. First of all, while in every other nation, for example, men and women, everyone is participating in every field of life. They are, for example, if you count the population of other countries, non-Muslims, for example, you will see almost 100% people going to school, going to college to some degree, or to university, higher level at university, then getting into the professional life. And if you bar the Muslims and Muslim girls and women from the higher education, basically you are depriving more than 50% of your population from the higher education, and you are keeping them just with the basics. So you are making an attempt to remain behind. Then also, in this day and age, this industry and the kind of economy which we have, only men are not going to be able to take care of everything what a nation needs. Jobs, market, and the challenges have increased so much that you need more power, more labor, more workers, more people to come and work. While they have to defend their nation, they have to work in all those industries and in all those areas of life. So you need educated women. You need women to come out and play their role. You cannot deprive your nation from more than half people just sitting at home and not getting out. More than that, the issue is it has become a trend, and that if a girl is not, for example, highly educated and if she has not got the advanced education, and if she doesn't have a good job in this day and age, in our own community and society, it is very hard to find the proper match. In these days, when people come to us, Maulana, we have a son, we have a daughter, please help us. Many times people will shy, and they will not say very bluntly that we are looking a daughter-in-law, that who should be a doctor or engineer or earning 6 figures money or this and that. They will shy, some of them, but basically you will discover later on that they are looking for that. They will not say it. They will say, oh, we are very simple people and we don't want anything and we are very content and this and that, but that's all what they are saying. But when they will interview and when they will look around, they will go for someone that who has got the higher education and has degree and has a good job and making good money. Because, again, as you know, that in this day and age, jobs they are not guaranteed. So the chances is any time one person can lose the job, so at least the other person is there working and helping and supporting. In these days, the income is not reliable, but your expenses are always there. You have to keep paying mortgage. You have to keep paying your installments on everything what you have. Nothing is yours. Everything is on installments and everything is on credit. So whether you have job, whether you don't have, bottom line is that people, if this girl is not educated and if she doesn't get that degree or diploma and she doesn't have good work, the chances are that many people will not like to come with the proposal for that girl. And she will just keep sitting at home without getting any nice, for example, match. No. We say that even if she gets that. But then what happens? There are always mishaps in family, mishaps in life. She gets divorced or she becomes widow. There is a tragedy in family and the husband is gone and now there is no one to take care of her and her children. So this woman has to now come out to carry on with the life, take care of herself and take care of those young children and their education and their future. So this woman should be at a level where she can manage her life, manage her children and all the needs, if God forbid for whatever reason, if she loses a husband. In that Arab society which we are giving the example sometime, that one woman here, she would become widow and she was still in iddah and she would get plenty of the proposals. That was the culture. She is still in iddah. Islam had to make a rule, Islam had to come up with a rule to forbid people and to discourage people that don't propose this poor woman, at least let her finish her iddah. And when she will finish iddah, then you should go with proposal. So if one woman would, for example, would become widow, it was not a big issue for her because there are people in line who will come and who will marry her and take care of her all responsibilities. You know your culture. How many people in our culture are ready to marry a widow woman, for example? How many are ready to marry here the divorced woman, for example? In our popular culture of Muslims, this is a weak point of our culture, that people don't feel encouraged or they don't go out and they don't marry the widow or the divorced. While many times, meaning the widow doesn't have any, for example, this is not on her blame. You cannot blame her that why she is widow. And many times those divorced women are also very innocently divorced. Being a divorced doesn't mean necessarily that he is bad or she is bad. Sometimes the chemistry doesn't work. Sometimes there are so many other genuine reasons. And the person can be very decent and very fine. A decent person can also get divorce or can divorce for a variety of other reasons. But the point what we are trying to say is, my brothers and sisters, that as fathers, as community elders, as community leaders, we cannot take this line that we shouldn't educate our girls or we shouldn't send them for the higher education and we shouldn't encourage them to get into careers or professional life. It is necessary for our ummah, it is necessary for our nation, it is necessary for our community, it is necessary for the families. No, after getting education, getting degree and diploma, if she doesn't feel to go and work, for example, they don't need to work, then that's fine. She can stay home and she can take care of family and she can work from home. In this day and age, now the new trend is coming, working from home. So many of them will continue working from home. She can do whatever she can, but it took a long time to explain. But the bottom line is, we are for education. And we don't make this discrimination between boys and girls. Both are important. Education of both of them is important. And going all the way for both of them is important. Now, there may be some boys and girls that they don't have that talent, for example. They know that high school is their end of that. They don't have those guts, they don't have talents, they don't have that ability, they don't have that kind of urge, or that where they can go to college or university or those kind of things. They can get early into education through their work or their marriage or whatever, meaning those can get married early, those can get to job market early without going to college or university because they don't have any much potential of going over there. This is individual decision that those boys and girls can make at their own or their parents can make, and those are the details. I will not get into that. But when it comes to the marriage, brothers and sisters, first of all, about the age of Hazrat Zahra Salamullah Alaiha, that when she got married. Popularly, the riwayat which most of the people will quote, that is 9 or 10, but there is a riwayat that she was 18 when she got married. So this whole thing goes back that whether she was born 5 years before Baisat or she was born 5 years after Baisat. That makes the difference. So some scholars, they believe that actually she was 18 when she got married. And she was 28 when she was martyred. While some other scholars and majority of the scholars will go with the other opinion. But that was a time when this was a custom. First of all, it was in a certain geography, in a certain environment, in a certain atmosphere, where girls would get physically mature early, where they could get into the marriage at that age. That was, it is not written anywhere in book or Quran or Hadith that a girl should be, for example, married at that particular age. It's not written anywhere. Then, more than that, first of all, physically they have to mature that much where they can get married. It's not only physical thing, it is intellectually and socially also, they need to get that much mature where they can get into this marriage. It was simple in those times. Girls didn't have much to do at that time. They were not working, they were not bread earners. Families were the culture was in a way where girls didn't have to do that much diplomacy which now in this day and age they have to do. In this day and age, someone that who is getting married, managing your family, managing that family, managing friends, managing all those relations, roles, work, outside, at home, it needs lot of maturity. So no one advises to, for example, marry a girl that early. But then what should be the age? After listening to all scholars and everybody, they say it is from the ideal age would be 20, 21 when you talk about early marriage. So it is when they are done with their high school, they are done with their college at least 4 years. So they are 20, 21, something like that. That is, we are talking about early marriage. But girls can have this marriage for their whatever reasons. They can get their marriage up to, for example, as long as age 24, 25, 26 is still fine. But ideally they should look into 20, 21, something like that. And when it comes to the boys, if you look at the life of Prophet, when he got married, age 25. Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu was salam, if you look at his marriage, that when he got married, that was also about 24. 24 was the age when he got his aqd and marriage, or 24, 25 is the age. So 24, 25, 26 to late 20s, this is the time. But earliest is about 24, 25. Sometime what happens, some boys will get emotional in their high school life. And they will say, oh, because I am Mu'min and I am Muslim and I am this and that, and falls in love with someone and wants to marry while he is high school, and he will use the Maulana. Maulana says early marriage. But Maulana didn't mean that early marriage that you should go ahead and marry at high school while you are totally dependent on your parents. Girls also, 20, 21, that is the age. So this is the conclusion, my brothers and sisters, for these two questions when it comes for their education, when it comes to their marriage. Again, these things are not written like you say line in the, what you call in the stone. There are certain factors which you have to look at. You have to look at society, you have to look at the norms, you have to look at the implications, you have to look into everything. So maturity, responsibility, and it is again case by case. Some people become mature at the age 21, and some people, they reach to that mental and social and intellectual maturity at the age 25 or 24 or 28. So it's not something that it's not one size fits all. These are the case by case decisions which parents have to make and individuals have to look into. Recite Salat. Inna ahsan al-hadith wa ablagha al-maw'idha كتاب الله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله